In Matthew 7, verses 7 and 8, Jesus tells his followers, "Ask and it will be given to you, seek and you will find, knock and the door will be opened to you. For everyone who asks receives, to the one who seeks finds, and to the one who knocks the door will be opened." And this is true. The thing is, if we remove these couple of verses from their context, we could come away from this brief teaching with the wrong idea. If we back up to chapter 6, Jesus instructs his followers to avoid storing up treasures on earth because all this stuff is temporary. It wears out, it breaks, and it can be stolen. Rather, he advises us that we store up treasure in heaven, which is a way of teaching us to prioritize, to seek out the right things. He follows this up by teaching us to have faith in God and to not be anxious about things like clothing, food, and drink. So according to Jesus, the thing that we pursue, the stuff we seek, ask, and knock for, shouldn't be motivated by selfishness or greed, but should be the kinds of things that God would want for us. So, in our last video, we ended with the statement that Jesus' death was not the end of his story. Now, for modern followers of Jesus, this is a given, but let's not forget that for the people who knew Jesus best, the thought that his death would somehow be different was not a possibility. Jesus was the one who raised others from the dead. If he was gone, there was no hope. So, when he was placed in Joseph of Arimathea's tomb late on a Friday, the assumption was that the women would return after the Sabbath day and finish the burial customs, and then they would have to answer the question, where do we go from here? What happens next? In John 20, Mary goes to the garden where Jesus' tomb was. And we know from the other gospel accounts that she was there with other women very early in the morning just before sunrise. And when they arrive, they see something awful. Someone's rolled away the stone. Why would somebody do that? They go inside and they look, and Jesus' body is missing, and they assume that someone has stolen his body. And they start asking themselves, why would somebody do this, and where would they take him, and what should they do? So they run back to the city, and they find Peter and a few of the others, and they tell them what happened. So Peter and John run back to the tomb, and John gets there first, and he looks inside, and when Peter gets there, he pushes past and goes inside. All the while, Mary is outside, and she's distressed and crying, but she looks inside and she sees something. 2 angels sitting where Jesus had been laid, and they ask her why she's crying. And she explains that someone has taken away her Lord and she doesn't know where they laid him. And she turns to leave, but she sees someone and she assumes it's the gardener in charge of this place. And this man asks her why she's crying. And she explains to him that someone has taken him away and that if he would just tell her where he is, she would take care of him. And Mary's heart is breaking. She is desperate to find Jesus. She feels this need to take care of the burial custom and to see that his body is treated with respect and dignity. And the man says, "Mary." And that's when she realized who she was speaking to, and she says, "Rabboni." And, what would she have felt in a moment like this? Joy, relief, confusion? She's looking for Jesus' body so she could finish burying this person that she had such deep admiration and respect for. But rather than finding his body, she finds him standing there alive and speaking to her. And Jesus gives her an important task. It is her responsibility to announce the resurrection of Jesus to his followers. She is told to tell them that Jesus is ascending to his Father and to our Father, to his God and to our God. So Mary goes and announces to the followers of Jesus, "I have seen the Lord." And there's a lot going on here, especially for Mary. You can't help but feel for her. She just wanted to finish the job that she had set up to do, to prepare Jesus' body for burial. And that would have been hard all on its own, because on top of the grief of death, her friend's body would have been in terrible condition after the brutal torture Jesus had suffered. And then to think that someone had robbed his grave and stolen the body to, I don't know, who knows what. She'd be sick with grief and pain. Anybody would be. But she doesn't stop seeking Jesus. And this is huge. Because when we're hurting, angry, confused, or struggling, we might want to give up searching for Jesus. But you know what? Because she didn't give up, she finds him. And when she found him, she became the first of us whose job it is to tell others that we have found the Lord. Mary did her part. She told the disciples, and those disciples told others, and they told others on down and down for 2,000 years. If you search for Jesus, you will find him. And when you do, it's your turn to tell others that you have found the Lord. Thanks for watching. God bless you, and go with God.